Welcome back, friends. Now pull your chair a little closer and make sure your sweet tea is refilled, because I'm going to tell you the story of the country star and legend, Dottie West. It's about grit, grace, heartbreak, and a woman who helped change country music for every lady that came after her. I don't know what it is, but once spring comes around and all the dogwoods and redbud trees start blooming and sweet springtime fragrances get stirred up, I always have to cue up Dottie on my playlists. To me, her voice and springtime go hand in hand. Now, she came into this world on October the 11th, 1932, born Dorothy Marie Marsh in a little place called Frog Pond, just outside McMinnville, Tennessee. And I'll tell you right off, the life she stepped into wasn't easy. She was the eldest of 10 children, growing up in deep poverty. Her daddy played music, sure, but he also drank hard, and the home she knew as a child was filled with fear and hardship. At 12 years old, she raised money to buy her first guitar, and before long, she was singing anywhere folks would listen. School events, picnics, little gatherings, just a Tennessee girl with a voice that carried more life than her years. She went on to attend Tennessee Tech on a music scholarship where she met a young steel guitar player named Bill West. They married, started a family, and like so many dreamers before them, they packed up and went chasing for something bigger. For a while, that dream took them to Cleveland, Ohio, where Dottie sang on a local TV show called Landmark Jubilee as a part of a duo called the K-Dots. But Nashville kept calling. By the early 1960s, she had made her way into the heart of country music. Now here's one of those turning points that separates the hopeful from the legendary. Dottie didn't just sing, she wrote. And one of her songs, Is This Me, was recorded by Jim Reeves and became a hit. That got her noticed, and soon enough she found herself working with producer Chet Atkins, one of the architects of the Nashville sound. Then came the song that changed everything, Here Comes My Baby. That record climbed to top 10 in 1964 and earned her a Grammy. Not just any Grammy, mind you. Dottie West became the first woman in country music to win a Grammy Award. Now that right there, that's history. Through the 1960s, she built herself a solid career. Songs like Would You Hold It Against Me and Paper Mansions kept her on the charts. She also became a duet partner folks loved, recording with artists like Jim Reeves and Don Gibson. But what made Dottie different wasn't just her voice, it was her heart for others. She had been mentored by Patsy Cline, and in turn, Dottie took younger artists under her wing. She helped encourage names like Larry Gatlin and Steve Wariner early in their careers. There's a legacy you don't always see on a chart. Now let me tell you a story you might not expect. In the early 1970s, Dottie West wrote a little jingle for Coca-Cola called Country Sunshine. Just a commercial, right? Well, that little tune caught fire. It became a hit record all on its own, crossing over into pop music and bringing her into living rooms across America. That's not something many country singers had done back then. But the biggest second act of her career came a little later, and it came with a familiar name, Kenny Rogers. The two teamed up in 1978 for a duet called Every Time Two Fools Collide. And wouldn't you know it, that song gave Dottie her first #1 hit. They followed it up with a string of successful duets, and for a time, they were one of the hottest pairings in country music. Now here's a little anecdote folks in Nashville have told for years. Those sessions between Dottie and Kenny weren't stiff or overly polished. They were warm, natural, almost like two friends just singing across the kitchen table. And that ease, that chemistry, is exactly what audiences heard. Then, in 1980, Dottie reached another milestone. Her song, A Lesson in Leaving, became her first solo #1 hit. By then, she had reinvented herself. Glamorous stage outfits, big production shows, and a presence that could light up a room. She wasn't just surviving in country music anymore, she was thriving. But, like so many stories, this one carries its share of heartache. In the late 1980s, financial troubles began to weigh over her. Lavish spending and tax issues led to bankruptcy, and the IRS auctioned off many of her possessions. including her home. Still, she wasn't done. Not by a long shot. She was planning a comeback, new music, new shows, another chapter. Then came the day that changed everything. In late August of 1991, Dottie was involved in a car accident near Nashville. She suffered serious internal injuries. After several days in the hospital, she passed away on September the 4th, 1991, at the age of 58. And just like that, one of country music's brightest lights went quiet. But here's the thing about a voice like Dottie West. It doesn't stay quiet. Her influence carried on through her daughter, Shelley West, who found her own success, and through every woman in country music who came along with a little more freedom because Dottie helped open that door. In 2018, she was rightfully inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. So folks, when you hear her songs, whether it's Here Comes My Baby, Country Sunshine, or one of those duets with Kenny Rogers, you're not just hearing music. You're hearing the story of a woman who rose up from hardship, stood her ground in a man's world, and left country music a whole lot richer than she found it. And if you ask me, that's about as southern and as strong as it gets.